only to say that it's all dependent on man. What man perceives, only he perceives it. And besides him, if we're talking about something that exists objectively, it's only that one force called nature. How does it influence our life? In every aspect. It shapes our life entirely. After we develop and we discover something, then all the revelations are inside of us. They come from that one existing force. So everything that I see, feel, perceive, everything, also yourself and everything that's around you, emotionally, intellectually, it's all the manifestation of that force. And who's the one perceiving it? You have the ability to be separate from that force, and by being separate from it, you feel that you exist, and that you exist in a certain reality that you call the world. We'll get back to how do we perceive that force. But before that, I'd like to get to know this force. What are its qualities? What characterizes it? How does it work? Bestow. What do you mean? Giving. This is its only quality? Yes. And how does it operate? How does it work? How does it give? It gives. It emanates. That's it. That's all there is. What is that giving? What does it mean that it gives? Like a power supply. It gives and gives all the time. This is how we discover it. This is how we feel it. We don't discover it. We discover its attitude towards us of giving. Yes. And in this giving, we discover the initial giving that it has created in us, a sense of reception, to receive its bestowal, to identify it, that I exist outside of it, and it exists relative to me. Do I have the ability to make this differentiation? Yes, it has created it in me, to differentiate between me and it. Yes. And you're saying that this differentiation allows me to feel myself and the reality that's around me? Yes. What is the inclination of this force? Again, I don't know. You're asking incorrectly, because you're saying, what is its goal? More precisely asking is, what do we discover that we can as if say about it that this is its goal towards us? So this force that has created in us the ability to feel that we're separate from it, its intention is to give us the ability to attain it. Attain it as the giver, as the good, as our source. What is it needed for? I don't know. What do we need it for? We have an urge for it because we depend on it. So there is a kind of interdependence between us, and we feel this dependence. The more I discover my life, I discover my life here in a form called this world as something limited. I suffer as a result, and these deficiencies, these problems, they push us to acknowledge the reason, and the reason is Him, that one force. But there are two levels. Previously you said that we're naturally attracted to investigate because I'm dependent on it. So, because of my nature, because my nature is to benefit my situation, I want to get to know it, hoping that by that I can benefit myself. How can I feel it? How can I feel that giving, that force? Is it possible to feel it? Yes. we can develop an attitude towards it. For this we have science, philosophy, psychology, different sciences. And according to man's inner research, there are people that investigate it more deeply according to the deficiency that's revealed in them. And then we discover that this force is actually the force of good. It wants to bring us to good. But for this, it has to develop in us the sense of recognition of evil, because you can't reach the good without knowing what the bad is, its opposite. That only in the contrast, in the big difference between the good and the bad, in the different discernments in our senses, can we discover it as the result of our total perception of it in our senses. Again, please. We were given senses. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch that developed in us. All in all, these are senses in which I want to feel phenomena, good phenomena. When I feel bad phenomena in them, immediately I want to shut myself, distance myself from that feeling, and then I activate my intellect aside from my emotions, where my mind can advise me how to distance myself from the bad feeling. And this is how I develop myself in intellect and emotions. So this is how a person develops. He constantly distances himself from what harms him and draws himself near to what makes him feel good. Right? Naturally, even a newborn baby works that way. And how does this develop me? Throughout the thousands of years of our development, gradually we discover inside ourselves, we build inside ourselves a new mechanism that allows us and gives us the ability to understand and feel how to behave, starting with the most primitive, simple forms of our existence, and up to the point where we find ourselves living in the 21st century, building the most convenient form of existence for ourselves. So our development is constantly searching for more convenient states, how to use that force that we exist in. This is actually our only work in life. This is what we want. What exactly? How to use that force called nature in order to feel good. Good according to what we understand as good, what we perceive as good. As a result, we develop science, education, culture, psychology, philosophy, history, whatever. All in all, we want to know how to feel good. That's it. Because the deficiency for feeling good is our main deficiency. That's all we have. We're doing it consciously. This deficiency is called, in other words, the desire for pleasure, or the will to receive. If we're talking in psychological terms, then it's the desire for pleasure. If we're talking in physical terms, then it's the will to receive. And in Kabbalistic terms, also the will to receive. Kabbalah and physics, it's practically the same, only a different level of development.